Good morning, the COT data video for the week beginning the 24th of March 2025. And so we had quite a roller coaster week, as you'd imagine. We had the FOMC, we had the SNB with the BOE and the BOJ. So it was a difficult week. And now what we're seeing on the COT data, we're getting the Euro USD buy setup. Now, before we talk about this, it's just worth mentioning there is a buy if we look at retail sentiment. The herd are heavily net short and they're barely long. So we should be looking at longs because we're on this side of the 50%. Okay, so we come back to the COT data. So what's probably happening on the Euro USD is that we're going to be a buy the dip opportunity. And obviously before you enter, you'd want to be checking your technical charts. Just like I said in Discord, is that while we have all these setups, we have stuff that appears here over the course of the day. You will want to consult your technical charts and have risk management skills. Okay, so it's really, really important. While these are saying this and that, buy this, sell this, do look at your chart and perhaps look at a small time frame. See if you're getting a good entry. If it looks quite bullish on the small time frame, we know it should be a buy. If we look at the COT data, we know it should be a buy if we look at the retail sentiment. And so if it looks like a buy on the small time frame, it's probably going to be okay, but just be careful. Okay, so that's the Euro USD. Let's look at the yen. And we have ticked lower. And we had a breather. I think that's what this is. We're just having a little bit of a pullback, and pending that we remain above the zero, we're still bullish, but we're just slightly less bullish there, and it may continue lower, but we'll have to wait and see. So we've had a humongous move off the low, like a historically strong move, and so this is just having a little bit of take profit. And just potentially, we're going to come down a little bit. And we may get the Euro FX Japanese yen crossover, okay, where the EJ would be a buy at that point when we have a crossover, okay. We haven't got the crossover yet. You can see we've still got some distance between. Euro off, Aussie on. Aussie's been a bit messy. And yeah. So it wanted to go above the zero, but I was like, no, not interested. And we chopped a bit, and then we started to sell off. And we've actually fallen quite heavily, and we're below the zero. So it's added to the bias is that we were below the zero, and they've actually gone. They already were short, but they've added short. So when I say they, I mean the banks and institutions, the large pockets. And it's worth noting that the herd are long the Australian dollar basket as well, and they're also long the New Zealand dollar basket, and they've done that for ages, and they're holding that bias. So it's been quite painful. Pound's up slightly from the week prior. Oh, it's ever so slight. Yeah, it's like 200 contracts more long, and so that's the British pound. And we had the GU buy, just like I said about the Euro USD. It is a buy. This particular currency pair. If we look at the sentiment, we did have to see a big retracement, unfortunately, and the bot is now flat. So we were up a lot. Because it trades the GU, this particular currency pair, the cable, and it did really well, making lots of profits. And we had this retracement, which you could probably argue we needed to pull back a little bit because it was such a strong move. It was pretty much just one direction, and now we're probably just going to pull back a little bit. And I think perhaps a bounce at the SLC potentially. I'm going to work on the logic this week for the bot 1.0. Because I've only got it to open buys if we're below the 50%. Now we see here, it got us it did a little bit of damage. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to put back in the hedging component, and so if it signals sell, it will just sell, and regardless of where we are at the static level. So when I mean static, it's the 50%. All right. So we're below the 50%. It should be a buy, but however, if they're going to do this, they're going to go long ever so slight. You can see that they've gone long on that black line. It's gonna fall. So I'm gonna put in that hedging component, what we used to. I'll put that back in, and so if it does signal sell, it will signal it, regardless of where the sentiment is at the big picture, whether or not it's above 50 or below 50. Okay, so just a quick one on the bot 1.0. Perhaps down to the SLC for a bounce, but we could maybe pull back even more because there's all these stops down here that need to get raided. Big chunk, and it stops about 128.27 around about there. So it may just want to come down and hound these stops, which would be really horrible. Pound off, CAD on. CAD's been really heavy and hasn't done anything. It's trying to get off that low, but it's struggling a bit. Minus 142 to minus 136. So it's trying, but it's not really doing that much at the moment. No massive surges like we saw on the yen, for example. So the only surges that we saw on CAD were really to the downside. This got negated. That move up nearly got entirely reversed, but it didn't break that low. Okay. CAD on, CAD off even, gold on. Remember, there aren't any stops above on gold, retail stops. Well, there aren't that many. There will be some, but not that many, because what's happened is that we've really obliterated the bears from that particular instrument, and they've just been raided. Their stops have been raided. So while there are some stops, they took a whole chunk of stops up at 3,000. And we are slightly more positive than the week prior. 236, 257, so they're definitely increased. So, be careful. I've been saying for ages and ages, be careful about selling, because you look at the COT data, we can see we're trending. It's clearly up. We're clearly trending high. So these are higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So we may continue higher up. And then it will just bully those stops. Gold off, New Zealand dollar on, and I think we're going to go back in this range, this sideways chop. I think we're going to go back in it again. It looks like it, doesn't it? And we might chop around on New Zealand dollar. However, remember that what I said, that they are net long. Okay. New Zealand dollar off, and then we'll lastly look at the Swiss franc, and then we'll wrap up the video. And we are just sideways. So we've had a busy week. We've made some big progress. We've got today's trade setups. So obviously you have to consult your technical charts for that. We've made massive amounts of progress on 2.0, and we've got all these test machines running in parallel. Test machine 5 is using this. All right, it's just using this only, and this is looking at the weekly change. Have they added or long or short on the weekly basis? And today, have they agreed with that bias? And so that's what the test machine 5, this one here, that's what that's doing there. And we can see we've made some. We're actually up in profit at the moment. To test machine 5, today's trade setups, which is referring to this. And so we just have to see how we go. I'm probably going to take it a little bit easy this week, because I put in a hell of a lot of hours last week, like 60 hours or something. So I'm still going to do the videos, and hopefully they're helpful. And I wish you a good weekend. And if you message me and it takes me some time to reply, it'll be because I'm just sort of taking it easy. I'm going to be testing and stuff, but I can't do too much at once, otherwise I just burn out. It's just got to look after yourself. That's it. So have a good weekend, you guys, and I'll speak to you guys on Monday.